You are now tuned in to My Skin is My Sin on Blog Talk Radio. From goons to guys, we welcome everyone. We only have one rule, and that's be respectful. You are now tuned in to My Skin is My Sin on Blog Talk Radio. Goons to guys, we welcome everyone. We only have one rule, and that's be respectful.
Holla at us next week, man.
No doubt, man, and definitely shout out to the family, liberationmindedmedia.net. That is Black Eye Stand, Still the Knowledge Radio, The Rundown with Renee, and My Skin is My Sin. And don't forget to share the show, man. If you check it out today, or if you check it out next week, or if you check it out in 1,000 years, and if you are that motherfucker that digs this up in 1,000 years, you are the most phenomenal individual to ever walk the galaxy for digging up this greatness and still share our shit, man. Shout out to you. Don't forget to check out the websites, embroshell.com, designsbymonet.com, and myskinismysin.net.
What's good, fam? This is Jobs, and you are tuned in to an early morning session of My Skin is My Sin Radio. And as always, trying to hone the craft, but I actually did have a couple of things I wanted to talk about this morning. Shout out to you, Iyoba. It's interesting because I'm sure that you would be able to add like so much more depth to this topic. But I wanted to talk about anxiety and the crippling effect that it can have on a person, and the difficulty that the loved ones of someone with anxiety, the difficulties that they have, and honestly believing that something is wrong. A lot of us don't want to believe it. They don't want to think that our mama or our daddy or our sister or our child is struggling with a mental health issue, because we look at it. We kind of take ownership of a quote-unquote flaw, like we did something wrong. And that's tough, because what that ends up doing is it pushes the person with anxiety away. And now, not only do they have anxiety, but they feel alone. They feel like they don't have anybody they can go talk to. But there are a lot of people out there that will actually listen to you. And during the holidays, it's exacerbated. Like if you've got something really, like something that's sad happened during the holiday, whatever the case, but it's magnified, because you see a whole bunch of people, families together. You see people laughing. You see people enjoying life, and it makes you more anxious because it's not you. Then you get panic attacks. You don't want to come out the house. You don't want to go anywhere. And people is looking at you like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You tripping. And you can't get people to understand it's nothing wrong. I mean, it's not that I'm tripping. It's something wrong. I can't help it. I have every intention. When I said I was going to go to lunch with you, I had every intention of it. I went and bought a new outfit. I was looking forward to this shit. I set the time away on my calendar, and then the day came and I couldn't get out the bed. People don't understand that shit. And it's hard to make people, it's hard to talk to people about it, because it sounds crazy to you. And we don't talk about it enough in our community at all. And we're doing ourselves a huge injustice by not allowing our brothers and sisters out there that are hurting mentally to have comforting ears around them. And at some point we have to fix that. I mean, let's say you fixate on, for some reason in your mind you think that a bad thing is going to occur, and you fixate on that shit. You thinking about it 24/7. What does that do to the rest of your life? It's not that you can't do other things, but you can't do other things completely, because in the back of your mind you're fixated on this one thing, and how can you prevent it from happening? Um, where did you go wrong about shit that didn't even happen yet? It is crazy. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, I have a few statistics that I actually put up too. And this is just, for the topic's sake, anxiety, but to be quite honest, just mental health in general. You know, black folks is we don't have the access to mental health care that we should. We don't have the respect for it as a disease process like we should. We don't have systems in place that are safety nets for our brothers and sisters who need some mental health assistance. And I think it's like people go from 0 to 100 with mental health. Like they think if you say mental health, you just, psychopath, serial killer type. No, generally speaking, mental health has nothing to do with violence. It's an attack on that individual, on their whole life, on their thought process, on their brain. That's mental health. It's an inward situation, generally speaking. So we need to get over, looking at it as it's some type of poison or some type of fucking, ugh. No, nobody asked for this shit. Nobody wakes up and say, I want to feel fucked up 6 days a week for absolutely no reason. Nobody does that shit. Like, you sound stupid, man. Like, I'm sorry, man, but it bothers me. I have seen, like, people struggle with mental illness. And it was like I spent my life kind of, like if there's let's say a history of cancer in your family, and you're fully aware of it from a young age, you kind of spend your life trying to prevent that from happening. You prepare yourself, generally speaking. Well, when you have mental illness in your family, it's like you're okay. Somebody in my generation is probably going to be affected. How can I prevent that? And you can't. You can do all the brain tricks you want. You can solve as many puzzles. Will you remain smart? Yes, you probably will. It doesn't mean that you can't suffer from anxiety. It doesn't mean that you can't have panic attacks. It doesn't mean that you won't get depressed. There are coping mechanisms. There are things that you can do. Some people pray. Some people meditate. Some people, they have programs where people make a song, and when they feel a trigger coming on, they play that song, and it's supposed to mentally take them to a space, and it's it's basically find a positive alternative to occupy your mind at that time. It's all about recognizing and not being ashamed, but being aware. And recognizing that there are things that you can do personally, and I'm not saying that's going to eliminate mental health, but that can help you cope better. It's 216-539-0659. And yes, post-traumatic stress disorder is that's some, man, people don't know, and black people disproportionately, I do believe, suffer from that. Like we see some crazy shit growing up, and we internalize it as normalcy. Like you seeing 30 dudes jump on one dude, like, oh man, that dude got fucked up. That's it. that's a normal thing to see at a club. That's fucked up. That's horrible. Like, let's be honest. Oh, and let me I think Iyoba gonna call up, so let me go ahead and make sure we got everything the Skype working for the Queen, because I know she got some wisdom to drop as always. And let me just type this in. I know I can't multitask. But oh, let me get this call right quick. What's good, fam? I'm doing good. Good morning, Queen. How you doing? Man, I'm always up early as shit. I just am. I don't know what it is. And how and do me one favor. Just tell the people who you are, Queen. No, I was trying to get you to say a little bit more. What I need to do is make sure that people can hear the conversation.
Owner and a huge supporter of our black businesses, of course. Um, I don't know what else to say.
Oh, and my
You know,
apologies for like to the audience. It was just a long ass pause. And so my bad. I just kind of got caught up listening to the Queen, and y'all couldn't even hear her. So my apologies on that one. All right, but I did. I'm not even gonna lie. It just dawned on me like nobody can hear her, and you're not saying anything. My bad. Um, but yeah, it's just been because I've been going through some shit, man. I really have. I'm not gonna front.
hmm
And it just so I'm lucky enough to have a woman that I could feel vulnerable with.
Right.
Um, so it's a little different in that I have kind of like a sounding board when necessary
hmm
that ain't full of judgment. Not a lot of people
Absolutely.
have that shit,
True.
and I know the holidays tend to make it a lot worse. Like
hmm
whatever you struggling with, it just heightens that shit. Especially like when, let's say, your job, you make it's a lot of people out there that move from New York to Nebraska to make a shitload of money, but they got no family out there and they struggling mentally.
hmm
You know, um, and that's why try to tell people like you can't buy your way out of mental health issues.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Uh, um, and you were saying PTSD is an anxiety disorder.
Yes.
Like, what
I
is
think I don't.
PTSD?
It's post-traumatic syndrome. What it is that something has been so traumatic that, in a short way of putting it, you continue to relive it. Um, little, I call these seasons and holidays trigger seasons or seasons of triggers.
Mm-hmm.
Triggers are things that it can be a smell, it can be something you see, someone, the way someone touches you, something you, um, like a deja vu moment that just brings you back so that you re-experience the traumatic event. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
PTSD happens to anybody who suffers anything traumatic, and traumatic can be retirement. Okay, Traumatic can be rape, abuse, loss of a job, witnessing some sort of devastating act. It can be, war. It can be police work. It can be the CEO. Anything that traumatizes you. It can be a movie. I often hear people say they don't like clowns. They will beat a clown down. That's a trigger. I know me, I don't like them. As a child, they scared me to death. And so
Really?
they were traumatic for me as a kid. And to this very day, I can't stand them.
Oh
You
man,
know,
that's like
yeah,
one of the funniest stories in my family.
mhm,
When my brother
mhm,
was like 5, my mother threw this big ass elaborate party in the backyard. Shit, bought this
mhm.
nigga a swing set and got this fool a clown. Oh my god, he lost his fucking mind.
Yes,
He was
that's
not,
traumatic.
I was
But it
laughing my
lasts
ass
through a
off.
lifetime. Yes, it lasts through a lifetime. I watched the movie It, and I found myself shaking.
Oh,
Now I know that's a movie.
right.
I can't stand clowns, and I can't stand balloons. And if someone pops a balloon, not only does it shock me, but it angers me right after. I get real pissed off. You know, just like I
Wow.
don't like anyone to scare me. Of course I get scared at first, but then I'm pissed. I'm ready to beat you down. That people don't realize that is part of that criteria of having PTSD or PTS. You don't have the disorder necessarily, but it's traumatic enough that when the same setting occurs, you will respond, and it's usually not positive.
Hmm.
This is why it's dangerous to scare people because you don't know the trauma that it gives that person. They may turn around and beat you to death. You know, clowns, don't come to my home with no clowns. I know you're a person, I get it. But honestly, not trying to be funny about my sisters or anyone else, when I see women wear a lot of makeup, okay, I equate that the same. I don't like it. It makes me nervous because I know you're hiding something, because clowns hide stuff and they look scary. I'm not saying that our women do, but there's something in my head that equates a ton of makeup to, you know, it gives me anxiety about that person. I don't like it. Less is more. So I don't think we sit and analyze what our triggers are because we haven't taught. I suffer from PTSD.
Mm.
I am diagnosed. I ain't gonna sit here and I have no problem telling it. Um, Unfortunately, attempted rape will do that to you. You have to fight. And so I'm not fond of people touching me. I don't like shaking hands. I don't like people sitting or standing close to me
Mm.
that I don't know.
Yeah, I feel you
Um,
on that. Like I hate fucking people like hugging me that I don't like,
Bad.
that I
Don't do that.
don't know. I'm like, I will
Yeah, don't do
literally
that.
matrix your ass. I've done it.
Yeah, I don't do that. No,
Like
don't touch me.
you violating my space.
Exactly. Exactly. I don't like it. I don't like it when um, people try to say, "Oh, it's all right." No, don't patronize me either. It's not all right. Um, I work on it daily. I'm in a position in which I go to a lot of meetings, but I have learned to tell people, please don't touch me and I don't shake hands. At first, people were like, "Oh, you're antisocial." Well, not exactly. Antisocial is a personality disorder, and it has a completely different set than what people think it is. Okay. However, I tell them I do suffer from PTSD, and they just look at me and go, "You?" Yeah, me. So please don't touch me. And I have to know of you. I didn't say know you, but know of you enough to even shake your hands. First of all, I don't even know where your hands have been. Most folks, they go to the bathroom, don't even wash their hands. So I really don't want you touching me. So I'm just funny about that. And um, during the holidays, because I work with rape victims. I work with
Mm.
abuse victims. I work with people who have attempted suicide. That is what I do for a living for over 30 years. I love
But
what I
that's
do.
got to be like for the things that you've been through. That's got to be the toughest job to do. Why take that job?
Actually, it helps me better understand the far-reaching impact. Um, I love helping people. I've been a helper since I was a child, you know, and um, I've been in the nurseries where babies were born what they call with a monkey on their back, aka alcoholic parents, and they're going through withdrawal. Taking care of the babies who have been born addicted. I've done all of that work, and that might have been part of the trauma, but I also realized everyone needs love. Everyone needs to know that they matter, that they're
Mm.
valued. And so ensuring that someone knows that they're loved, that they're valued, that they matter, that trumps how I feel. And in fact, it makes me feel better. You know, I forget about my anxiety and focus clearly on them because it's not about me, it's about them. That's how, my grandfather, great grandfather actually used to say, move yourself out of the way. And it was something he told me all the time. I guess they all knew that I was a helper. They
Mm.
all knew. And basically, what that means is to put your traumas on a shelf to help someone else through a trauma. See the world through their eyes, not where you want them to be, but where they really are, and work with them from there. Because
Mm.
it's not about you, it's about them, you know? Sort of like when you call someone and you're feeling down,
Mm-hmm.
and you say, you know what, I'm just having a bad day. And that person goes, I know what you mean. When I had a bad day, blah, blah, blah. And then instead of
Right.
you getting help, they done took over the whole conversation, and now you got to doctor them. This is why helpers don't get help, because it's too hard to tell someone how they're feeling because the listener goes, oh, yeah, I remember when and then all of a sudden it turns into taking care of them when it's the helper that called for help. So this is why it's very hard for helpers like myself to even approach someone and say, I'm having a bad day, because it just doesn't work out. So
And you know what
we
I
got to
have
find
learned
other
right
ways.
there? I have
Mhm.
learned to, at least for the people that I trust,
Mhm.
to tell them, hey, okay, I understand that, but right now,
Mhm.
this is not about you. I just need you to listen.
Mhm.
You
And
know.
they get offended.
Well, no, what it is
Some will
that,
get offended.
well,
Yeah, some will
that
get
is
offended.
true, but like
Mhm.
like like depending on who the person is, like if it's your
Right.
significant other or your parent,
Exactly. Exactly.
you are able to kind of be honest with them and say, hey, you know,
Right.
and I've had to do that sometimes. Be like, look, I listen to a lot of that you. I need you to listen to me right now, and
Mhm.
I'm being honest with you, and
Right.
that usually sets the tone for a different dialogue.
Exactly.
At least amongst those few people that I trust with those emotions. And
Right.
even with them, it's difficult, not necessarily changing the conversation, but even initiating it because I don't want to be whining. I'm a grown man, you know. I shouldn't feel this way. It's some weak shit, and I'm. This is all the shit that I tell myself.
Mm.
Like I have a long ass debate with myself about even talking. I do. I'm not.
I know that's right. No, I laugh not at you. I'm laughing with you because that's how I am. Man, I'd be like, you know what? You're sissified. Why don't you quit tripping? You know, tighten up, stand strong,
Exactly.
walk forward,
You
get
know,
over
I'm
it.
like, come on,
You
bro.
know.
Jobs, you being a bitch out here, man.
Mhm.
Stop being like that.
Mhm.
And then you
Mhm.
talk yourself out of getting some help.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and
It took a lot for me to go get help. It
mhm.
really did. It did. I'm a veteran. I'm military. Um, and I find that a lot of therapists have no clue how to help someone with PTSD. They really don't. They'll do, put you right back into and make you relive it. They got all kinds of stuff. Um, and a lot of it is even more traumatic. They don't listen very well to the patient. And this is why there's such a big distrust of medical. Sometimes they try medications that actually make the symptoms worse or have even worse side effects. So people aren't trying to hear all that, you know. But I will agree 110% with you about that small circle. I have a very small circle, and they are family, and they love me to life, and I love them to life. And it's funny, even though I talk myself out of it, when I call them on the phone, they go, "What's wrong?" And it's like, well, damn, that didn't work, you know. But they want to hear it. Yeah, it doesn't work because when they really love you, they can hear every change in your voice, even how you breathe. So you're not going to fool them. And those are the people that I talk to. And I have one good friend. He is behavioral health. When I was hospitalized for my appendix, my PTSD was off the chain. And then I fell into a huge state of depression. Huge, because I realized had I waited, I would not be here today. They were telling me, if you waited 1 or 2 more days, they would be planning your funeral. I did not realize. And so it kind of sunk me. I was in a place that was dark, even though I was in the hospital, which made it worse. And the beautiful thing about it is I could pick the phone up. I was in tears, and I called him, and he was just like, "I will be there. Let me finish with my clients that I had. You will see me today." He said, "I don't give a damn what I have to do. I will be there." And he showed. The sun was still up when he showed. And I was able to talk with him, because courage comes too from asking for help when you need it.
Facts.
You can get rejected, but the courage is to push through the rejection until you find the person that will listen and be there for you no matter what. And, I thank the Orishas and the ancestors that he came because, even now he still checks on me, which is wonderful.
Right, that's dope.
My daughters are all grown. My son is grown, and they understand the PTSD, and so they check on me. They're my babies, but they check on their mama. My mother checks on me, and I check on her because she suffers from depression as she ages. Because, see, PTSD, getting old is traumatic as well.
Man.
There's a lot of things that are extremely traumatic. Yeah, being retired is traumatic. You go from a routine to nothing. Even if you go from your routine working to finding a little part-time job, that's traumatic, that transition. This is where a lot of people will commit suicide or attempt it. See, we don't realize, how important things are. We too busy talking about you're working for the white man. No, don't worry about that. Worry about the impact. Not having a job, not being able to eat, being homeless, all of that is traumatic.
Man.
And eligible for PTSD. Just like clowns. Just like seeing someone get shot. Okay, they may not be the same level, but it's how that person interprets it, not whether you think it's important or not. See, that's where move yourself out of the way comes in. It's about how it affected that person. So When someone retires that's a good friend of mine, I check on them on a regular basis because that's traumatic. When someone is getting older, like our elders, and they can't see as well, or they can't, cook like they used to, or, they can't remember things, that's traumatic for them. Check on them.
Yeah.
Because they fall into depression quickly, realizing that they can't do. And then you start hearing them say, baby, I'm tired. That means they're preparing to die. That's what that means. That's old school talk.
Yeah.
But see, we too new school and don't remember that. When elders talk about, baby, I'm tired, all alarms should be going off because they're not talking about I'm sleepy. They're talking about it's time to end my life.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
And they stop wanting to thrive.
Yeah.
Okay? And then their health spirals downward. It's traumatic for people to get old. Yeah. Why do you think we got Botox and facelift? It's traumatic. That's why people do all this stuff. They're avoiding that.
See, I don't think I'm handling getting old well.
Oh, I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
I am not. I really am not.
And see, that's where we need to come together, and support one another. Because these stages in life, going from a teenager to an adult is traumatic. People don't realize that. This is why folks flip out between 18 and 28. They can't handle this adult stuff. It's traumatic. We don't think about that. We just, kick them out at 18. That's traumatic.
Yeah.
Having an exam when you have your finals, you know how many people have test anxiety. That's a form of PTSD. That's no joke. There are people that they're anxious about their grades. If they don't have certain grades, they will flip out. And people say, oh, it's ridiculous. For you, it's ridiculous. For them, it's not. And see, that's part of the problem in society, is we kick to the curb what we think is worthless and doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And we need to stop doing that. It's not about what you think they're going through. It's about what they are going through.
Facts.
And the impact it has on them. That's why I love what I do. I learned, I've been doing this for 30-something years. And it is some of the most fulfilling work, working with people who are homeless, working with people who haven't eaten, working with society's ills in general. A lot of people burn out after 5 to 7 years. They can't do it anymore. I'm still rolling. I love it. And I also realize my human capacity as a PTSD sufferer. I better understand what they're going through. I can recognize some symptoms, and I can recognize the impact that those have on that person. And in ways I can attempt to intervene to help them know it's okay to get help. I'm a walking example. I have been homeless. I have lived in abandoned buildings. I have done quite a bit in my short time on earth, which I won't even go into, but trust and believe, I have contemplated suicide. I have attempted it on more than one occasion. And people look at me today and say, nah. Yes, you don't know. I know. You don't know the path that people went through to get to where they are today. And so part of my life is dedicated to helping people, where they're at, and to help them and give them the tools or reactivate the tools they have to live a life that's healthy. I enjoy what I do. And so walking with somebody who suffers is not something that's brief. It can be years. I have sisters and brothers that I've been walking with for at least 4 years now. Because it's not something, okay, that phone call, you should have been done, and they call you back again? Yes. I have young men and women who I met at 16 who have attempted suicide, who are now 20-something, that still call me
Mm.
because I will be there. That's the other part. You can't tell someone to lean on me and then you not answer the phone. That's not how that works. If you tell someone you're going to be there, be there. Whether it's today, tomorrow, or 5 years from now, you better answer that phone. You can't commit to something half-heartedly. So that's the other issue. You know, um, anxiety is no joke. It is everywhere. I mean, I do a lot of public speaking and a lot of um, training sessions. My anxiety goes through the roof. People go like, "You're a great speaker." Man, my hands are cold. Like right now, my hands are cold.
Hmm.
My hands are freezing. You know, but I move forward because you are talking about a subject that's extremely important, and people need to stop acting like it doesn't matter because it does. These mental health issues take our people out almost every day,
Mm.
but we treat it like, you know, don't get your panties in the bunch and put your big girl jaws on. We do stuff like that, and that's more harm than good. Having mental illness is not a weakness. It happens. I don't know anybody who doesn't have one, or at least have the criteria of some of the mental illnesses. First thing they'll say is, "Oh no, not me. I could never." That sounds like narcissism to me. Keep going.
Hmm.
I used to be a therapist, substance abuse or chemical dependency to be exact. And so my love for helping people, it will always be there until they lower me in the ground. And so topics like this deserve spotlight, deserve discussion because it's so rampant. We are traumatized all the time. From the time we were captured in the motherland until today, we stay traumatized. Of course it affects. It affects decision making. It affects how we digest our food. You know, it affects how we treat one another. You can look at some of the posts that people put up and you go, what's wrong with them? Okay, let me just show them some love because obviously there's something else going on. But, I appreciate you bringing this forward. And I really debated if I was going to say anything. But you know what? If someone can learn and understand that we can still be productive people in the community, regardless of our diagnosis, then you've done your job and I've done mine.
Absolutely. Oh,
You know?
and really, shit's just be about me. Shit that I be going through. Shit's been kicking my ass lately.
Well, if you
And
ever need someone to talk to,
oh my god.
I'm here. I got you.
Oh my goodness. And it's like like when you said like the when you explained the different types of trauma, it makes sense now.
Mhm.
Like most people when you say trauma, you associate that with like something negative per se,
Mhm.
like something dramatic.
Mhm.
But there are just changes in life may be traumatic to you, and
Mhm.
I never like really considered that. Like that's deep.
Mhm.
But I
Yep.
appreciate you calling up and sharing. You already know, Queen.
Absolutely.
It just
Absolutely.
I just kind of woke up like, you know what? Let's talk about some real shit.
You know I'm gonna follow you. If
Uh,
I can help, I will.
Hey, we try to do, try to put some good shit out there, and in a way that people can it'll resonate with folks. Somebody out there be like, okay, I get that.
Mhm.
And like I say, you got some of the numbers or few statistics at the bottom. Check them out. It's quite interesting. And black people suffer from mental health issues at alarming rates compared to our counterparts. Like, so it's gonna be addressed one way or another. And it's about time we stop being reactive and start being proactive. And it's not necessarily that people. I'm saying you need to go take 1,000,000 pills or something like that. I'm not. But at least talk about it. If you do nothing else, talk to somebody. It helps. It really does. Helped me this morning. So shout out to you, Queen. Shout out to anybody listening. And shit, I think we're gonna call it a wrap. Like, I'm not sure. What was that about? Damn near an hour. Yeah, about good. I hope it helps somebody.